on the record, Robinson versus Hernandez and Jackson. This is D633288. Ms. Vasquez, appearance for the record, please.
Ashley Wilkes, bar number 14637, on behalf of the plaintiff, Susan Robinson.
Thank you. Mr. Schneider, appearance for the record.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning. Louis Schneider, 9683, on behalf of Leonardo Hernandez, not present. He's ill.
Thank you. And I know you haven't filed an opposition. However, I have reviewed the motion, Ms. Vasquez. I'm just going to let you know, this isn't my typical case where everything lays out and everything can kind of be resolved just by looking at everything. I personally, now that you've stipulated to the CPS records, I don't want to make any decisions till I've reviewed them. This history is long, it's protracted. I think we all agree that it goes on. There's so many layers with this. And at this point, my question is DFS currently involved in this case, not the other one, in this particular case? Has there been DFS notified as far as who did they place the minor child with?
Your Honor, to my knowledge, there is...
Anyone?
Sorry, Judge. To my knowledge, there is not any CPS or DFS case open at this time. As a matter of fact, this whole matter was heard by Judge Margaret Picard, and she, with all the information that's available now, placed the children with my client, and there's been no CPS or DFS investigation since, to my knowledge, Judge.
And that's what I'm checking on, whether or not there's been any under the allegation that your client was temporarily placed in custody. I wanted to know if something happened during that time period. Did anything happen during that time period, either Ms. Vasquez or Mr. Schneider?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Ms. Vasquez, what happened?
So first off, there has been no placement with Mr. Hernandez. In fact, his conviction was actually amended to include that he can't live with minor children. He can't be around his own children without supervision and permission from his probation officer. And the judge even said in his criminal case that if he has guardianship over Aaliyah, then that child needs to be placed back in the system until somebody steps up and takes her. Grandma.
Hold on, was that the criminal case where they have no jurisdiction to make rulings in this case?
That's correct, Your Honor. You took the words right out of my mouth.
I'm just checking, because a criminal, that's a different case.
Well, that's my point in my Laughlin v. Duca factors, is that literally nobody, the only person who has anything over Aaliyah is this guardianship that Mr. Hernandez has, and he can't even be around her. EFS does need to be involved. I do not know if they are informed that the person who has guardianship can't even be around this child.
As well, I'm assuming that someone would have called them. Did somebody call them?
No, Your Honor.
Nobody called them? All this is going on and nobody made a call?
And the judge had no jurisdiction to rule the way she did. She's out. Judge, she can't overrule another district court judge. She doesn't have jurisdiction to do it. I'm trying to avoid a judicial complaint, so I think what I'm going to do is just take it to the chief judge, and we're going to have a conversation.
Well, no, we're going to just address this case, because right now we've got jurisdiction over the child. We're the ones that can make those orders. I understand the concerns, Ms. Vasquez. I'm just going to let you know right now, I don't want to touch anything till I get everything in front of me. I'm going status quo until I can get some things in front of me right now. So I'm denying your motion without prejudice. Because right now, I'm not saying you can't renew it once we get the records, once we see everything. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of information in front of me. I'm just kind of curious with everything that's going on. And from what my understanding is, even with the guardianship, that Mr. Hernandez still, even with the minor child, he still had to have it supervised. That was my understanding. And so his current wife is supervising. So I'm still in this boat where I'm not touching anything yet until I can at least review things. And then Ms. Vasquez, once we start, discovery started, everything's going, we can see where we're at. Additionally, hopefully both parties can speak with each other, because I'm just going to say right off the bat, from what limited information I have, both parties, neither one of them are squeaky clean. So this puts the court in this position where I've got to tread lightly, and I'm going to be extra cautious. And I'm not comfortable. I'm just not I'm not comfortable giving your client sole legal and primary physical custody when I don't have those CPS records.
Temporary visitation since last July, where Mr. Schneider said his client was going to offer some temporary visits to my client. I I have not received any offer of visits because my client would have gladly accepted it. She has not seen these girls since June, and she had visitation prior. Mr. Schneider and I were talking about Christmas and New Year's. I understand his client got sick, and that's fine, but like until April, it's going to be 10 months before she sees her granddaughters, who she has a strong relationship with.
Well, and once I get more information, we'll be able to do more. But I need all the information, and I'm not comfortable making it at this time. Another judge granted. I'm not.
DPS case from 30 years ago that she got her kids back.
Well, and at this point, I don't know that. I don't know any of it. So you're making representations on a case that I have no information on. I can't go, and another judge in a different case can't undo the guardianship that's already in place. There's protocols. It's procedure, due process. So we follow due process, and I'm going to do that. So right now, I'm denying your motion without prejudice. I'm going to order the CPS records. Because I set the last matter on April 8th, I'm setting this one on April 11th. So we'll go Friday on on the 11th. And I have no doubt, Ms. Vasquez, you're going to be renewing this motion as we get more information, and then we'll be able to go forward. But
I just also want to throw out there that I recently heard from CPS that they are 4 to 5 months behind on getting out records. So if we have an April trial, we might not get records by then.
I just got some records on some cases, so I didn't have, I mean, knock on wood, it could have been easy, but we're going to do our best because there's extensive records, and I'm not saying that there's not, but what I'm going to do is make that order for the CPS records. It'll apply to both cases. I'm assuming that you want Mr. Jackson's records as well because we're going forward and he's defaulted, but still, we want to go forward for all our factors for best interest. I want to make sure we include everything. In the meantime, I'm assuming that someone's going to be calling DFS and opening up something. I thought they were going to do that when he was back in custody. So at this point, and then there's a great grandma out there too, isn't there?
Passed away.
Oh, she passed away. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that recently?
Yeah, so right now the siblings are having no contact.
All right, so we'll come up with something. So at this point, April 11th, what is my next calendar call? What was that calendar call date again, Miss Sierra? It was the
March 23rd at 2:30.
Perfect. All right, and so at this point, once everyone gets this additional information, please, Ms. Vasquez, speak with Mr. Schneider. Once his client's better, I think you're going to be in a better position. This case almost seems like it would be a senior settlement case, but I have no idea if there's even a possibility of anyone coming to a resolution. So that's the only reason why I'm hesitating. It seems like everyone's an all or nothing. Am I right?
Well, no, Your Honor. I actually, Ms. Vasquez is correct. I did try to arrange some visitation for Christmas and New Year's, and I intend to continue to, as soon as Leonardo gets a clean not diagnosis, but as soon as his COVID test is clean, and he's had multiple COVID tests, Judge, he's been under the care of a doctor, he's been in and out of the hospital. As soon as he's clean and everybody's cleaned up, I'm going to get Miss Robinson some visitation. And it was supervised before. I don't know how we're going to work it out, but I'll work that out with Ashley. Grandma does need to be able to see the girls. There's no question about that.
Well, what I can do at a minimum, are the girls also currently quarantined?
I believe so, Judge. I can't swear to it, but since he's got it, and he does not sleep. The judge, the district court criminal judge, was concerned about him sleeping there. He's not allowed to sleep there. He's got an apartment down the street, so his wife and they are married must supervise at all times, and she cannot be sleeping. So he's got an apartment right down the street. He doesn't sleep there, and his wife's taking care of the girls when he's not sleeping there. He can't sleep.
Can Grandma at least have one Saturday at, I would say, over at Donna's house per month?
Sure, no problem.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes, that would be great.
Compromise. And I'm going to say by stipulation, the parties have agreed that grandmother may have one Saturday per month supervised at Donna's house. It's going to take a while to do so. So what I'm going to say is, let's say the first Saturday of each month. And yes. I'm assuming the girls are up. Now granted, I'm concerned the girls, I'm trying to remember the current protocols. If they're negative, then it's 10 days after the last exposure. but then if they're positive, it's 5 days after the last exposure. So I don't know, Ms. Vasquez, I don't understand these rules. I just have to follow them. And so,
Well, Mr. Hernandez has had tested positive for COVID January 3rd, so if he's been having COVID, I would hope that they haven't been around him since. I don't know.
I don't know. All I know is I heard one kid got COVID, the other didn't. They're both living in the same house, and the one kid got to go back to school in 5 days, but the other child had to take an additional 10 days after the 5 days. It was, I didn't understand it. Did you want the 5th or do you want the 12th? I'm just.
The 5th, please.
Okay, we're going to do we'll do the 5th. And then if something happens, I need to do another order. So, Ms. Sierra, make it the first Saturday of each month, supervised at Donna's house, because technically this child in the C case is a ward of the state. I'm going to waive all fees associated with the visitation. How's, I think, what time do they open, Ms. Sierra? Is it 9?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why don't we do 9 to 1?
I was also going to ask, if allowed by Donna's house, if Grandma can bring the girls' brothers with them.
Why don't we start out with Grandma this first one? She's only getting 2 visits, and Grandma says she hasn't seen them. The last thing I want to do is dilute Grandma time, and besides, I want to report on how Grandma's interacting with them and how the children react to Grandma.
Okay.
I mean, it's a double-sided. I benefit from this. Just letting you know, I'm just trying to see if I have. Did you want me to look for a senior settlement date, or do you think this is something we're just going to have to go to? I kind of feel like we're just going to have to go to trial, but I'm always optimistic.
I'm always willing to try, but it's up to Ms. Vasquez if she wants to try.
We've tried a settlement conference before, and it didn't work. If we could just get the trial set and
trial set, it's already done. Trial set.
If you want to try a settlement conference between then yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. I'm trying to see if I have a senior.
Doesn't hurt.
Well, I just feel that everything's going to start coming into play, but I want everyone to be playing on the same even playing field. Let's see. Miss Sierra, do you see a senior settlement date? I'm trying to. I think all mine are full, aren't they? They're all full.
The next available I have is April 8th. So.
Oh, well, that's the day I have them for trial. That's going to be counterproductive.
Correct.
Your Honor, if one of the judges wants to take some time and do it, I'll agree to take whoever we can get.
Oh yeah, judicial settlement conference, maybe Judge Henderson or something.
I'm looking. I can't see if I've used all. I only have so many dates. So let me see. I'm trying to see what my date. Did we use all of them up through March?
For
Miss Sierra?
senior settlement or judicial?
Judicial now.
Judicial, I'm seeing possibly February 3rd.
Let me see. I think, did we use that one? Let me look at February 3rd. That's too soon.
Try March 24th.
Okay, March 24th. That might be too late. Let me see. Hold on. February, March 24th. Full. I think that one's full too. Oh wait, no, that's the date. Oh, never mind. No, March 24th is the date. I'm doing it for someone else. Okay, hold on. That doesn't count. Do we have another date?
The only before the trials is February 3rd or March 24th. Those are the only ones.
Okay, and March 24th is. And March 24th is ours, right? Because I have it. I'm doing that one.
I have it as available in the judicial settlement calendar.
Oh, okay. So we have. Okay, let me do this. I'm going to check with my JEA and see what we can get and see how flexible it is. And if I can find one and I haven't used my one from March, I'll have her coordinate with you guys over what date would be best. How's that sound?
That's perfect, Judge.
I think that'll work. And then I'm always willing, I know that both of you know, I'm always willing to, if you waive conflict, I'm always willing to help out and see if we can come to resolutions as well.
Judge, that would be my preference, actually. I'm certainly willing to waive the conflict. I believe that you would be the perfect judge to try to get this thing settled. So if Ms. Vasquez is willing to do so and you've got the time, I would prefer to have you.
Ms. Vasquez?
I agree.
Okay, well then in that case, we put it on my calendar. So let me see. Mr. Schneider already knows I yell at people at my calendar. Let's see. What I have.
It's effective, though.
Well, I'm very polite about it. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out what I have. Oh, um, if you guys think that you guys can be ready, I might have is that going to be an all day? I think I might have the afternoon of March 3rd. Oh, that's a possible all day trial, but I don't think it will be.
That's my trial with you, Judge.
Yeah, do you think it's going to be all day?
Probably.
You really think so? I'm still optimistic you guys are going to settle that. I thought I gave a good speech. Hold on. Let's see. Let's try. That's the one you gave. I might be able to do. How about March? Oh, wait, you don't want to do a settlement conference a day before a trial. Let's look at potentially March. Oh, that's not going to work. Sorry, I'm just looking at dates right now. Okay, let me see. March 31st in the afternoon at 1 p.m.
That works for me, Judge.
Okay, so we're going to say, Miss Robinson, did this make sense what we just were talking about?
No, I'll call her afterwards.
Okay.
Explain.
All right, so I have a waiver at this time. I know she's looking extremely baffled and shaking her head. So I figured that it might be good to chat. It's not a bad thing. What we're talking about, Miss Robinson, is what we've been talking about since the beginning, and you have very reasonable counsel. We've been talking about potential, how do we come to a resolution on a case that is so unbelievably messy, and how can we come up to something that, number one, protects the children, and without punishing either one of you too much for your past or whatnot, what we need to do to get it to settlement, and if it's even possible. And so one of the reasons why they're waiving and allowing me to do the settlement is, believe it or not, when I do settlements, I believe I have insight into what this judge may do. So that's kind of what they're asking for, and so it's a way of possibly resolving things quicker and maybe less emotionally tolling, while trying to preserve the relationship of all the parties. Because really, once we go forward on these trials, every single one of these, when I've had grandparents' rights, I'll tell you that even if there was a slight, thin hope of a relationship between everyone, once we go to trial, I have found that that relationship is gone. Because usually it's very difficult to come back from that. And when we're looking at the children, we kind of got to step back from our own personal feelings and look. So that's what we're doing. So, Miss Sierra, you got all those dates, and so I'm going to do the all parties have waived, and I'm going to do the settlement conference myself at 1 o'clock on the 31st. And I'll let you know whatever the current mood is with in person, not in person. I'll let you know probably the week before, so please bear with me when you get the email and say, hi, here's the link, because now we're video. So we have to be.
I did that with you on video, Judge, and it works just fine.
I think we can do video. It's not optimal in all situations, but if we had to, I managed to settle all mine on video too. So it's okay. I feel pretty good about that. So I'll get the case management order out. We're going to get the Donna's house order. Oh, go ahead.
Cases? For both cases?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the reason why I separated them for trial is because the standards that we have to get into, but and the two different children. But I think that for settlement purposes, we can do it all at the same time. Because once we draft an order, we're going to want a general order on everything. And in the meantime, I'll order the DFS records. We'll get everything going as soon as we receive it. We'll be ready to go. I don't think I need an order giving grandmother the first Saturday of every month, because quite honestly, I'm doing the Donna's house order, so that's the controlling order on what we have. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'll make my client get some.
If you want to do an order saying grandma shall have that, why don't we do this? Your motion is granted in part per stipulation, denied without prejudice for the remainder of the issues. Currently, grandmother is given supervised visitation the first Saturday of each month from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. with the two minor children.
And do you want maybe put in there that Donna's house should maybe give you a report before that March 31st date? I think that would be helpful. for you.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter if I put it in there. I just chase them down.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what I put in writing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's easier just to chase it down. So that way I'll have the report, and I always check right before. I'll only have one visit, or 2 visits. I'll have 2 visits then, so that'll be good. And then we can gauge, and I'll make sure everyone has a copy of that. But just beware, I may be walking into settlement with it because I get them at the last minute. All right, is that good for everybody? I think I've covered everything.
I believe so, Judge. Thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
you.
I apologize to Ms. Vasquez and the court for